I am so excited to hear those showcases today. I love the stories, the interconnected stories. And I don't know if you caught it, but I heard something that made me as a grant maker at the state of Michigan really happy because we saw some pollination of the projects, which I think is what this is all about as well. So we're seeing those connections being made. We're seeing them being made in this very room, and all of you online, hello. I hope that you're able to reach out to those teams as well. We've got a great keynote here for you today at lunch. I have the pleasure to introduce Jennifer Louie, who's an executive director at Closed Loop Partners, an investment firm that provides equity and project finance to scale products, services, and infrastructure at the forefront of the development of the circular economy. She is responsible for managing CLP's private credit and catalytic investment funds. Jennifer Louie, please come to the podium. Let's welcome Jennifer Louie.
Good afternoon. As Matt said, I'm Jennifer Louie, an executive director at Closed Loop Partners. I'm responsible for leading our infrastructure group and private credit vertical, through which we deploy catalytic capital across the circular economy value chain. It is my absolute pleasure to be here with all of you today, and I would like to extend a very warm welcome to our honorable guests here with us from the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, members of the business community, nonprofit community, and all of the supporting partners of NextCycle Michigan. Before joining Closed Loop Partners in 2020, my career in finance had focused on economic development in emerging markets. Part of my journey included time spent working and living across Southeast Asia. I served as the executive director of a nonprofit organization that provided microloans to social enterprises across the region, implementing clean energy and clean water access solutions. We were a membership organization that prioritized partnership formation. One of the most valuable lessons that I learned while working in the field was that partnerships require a strong commitment from all those involved if it is to be effective. It takes time and effort to foster the trust, which is so critical to achieving desired outcomes. I spent a good part of my career enhancing my listening skills and working to identify common interests amongst key stakeholders that could be leveraged to generate positive impacts. Partnerships are and can be a powerful tool. They can drive accelerated change if designed and utilized properly. And although every partnership is unique, there are a number of key attributes that can improve outcomes and potentially generate outsized impacts. To name a few. First, a shared vision. What is it that we're seeking to accomplish together? What positive change do we want to create? And second, mutual accountability. The perception that one party is potentially in a more favorable position can cause tension that becomes an impediment to progress. And developing a relationship that is built on a solid foundation of transparent and regular communication is paramount. And third, complementary skills. How can we collaborate efficiently and effectively to move quickly and make thoughtful decisions whereby we are conscious about managing risks and externalities that may be associated with our actions? At Closed Loop Partners, we have spent the last 8 years building partnerships with organizations and individuals such as yourselves, working alongside public and private sector actors to progress a significant transition from our current take, make, waste linear economic model towards an economic model that prioritizes circular economy principles. Our organization is both a circular economy focused innovation center and investment firm. We work with partners to build an enabling environment where innovation can thrive to solve deep-seated challenges. And on the other side of our firm, we directly invest in organizations that are implementing creative solutions to champion circular economy across 4 key sectors: plastics and packaging, food and agriculture, fashion, and supply chain optimization. There are many examples that I could cite of partnerships that have generated outsized impacts, but I'll highlight 2 today. The first is what we've done through our flagship fund, the Closed Loop Infrastructure Fund, which was launched at the firm's inception in 2014. The Infrastructure Fund provides catalytic capital to infrastructure projects across the United States and seeks to solve a key problem. That problem is that in many parts of the country, our recycling systems have not kept pace with the changing material types and are operating with suboptimal equipment. The result, in many cases, is that we are losing valuable materials to landfill that could be recovered and kept in play for longer. Through material recovery, reuse, diversion, processing, and product design, we have the power to reduce and hopefully one day do away with our dependency on extraction of non-renewable resources that are used today to produce and manufacture virgin materials. Although the commodity markets for recyclable materials have continued to remain strong over the last 1.5 years, historically, there have been periods when key actors operating across the recycling value chain could not access the type of financing that was required to maintain robust systems. Our support goes beyond providing the requisite financing. We are seeking to add value across the entire value chain. So what does that mean in practice? We are connectors across the ecosystem, looking for opportunities to ensure, for example, that the feedstock for critical processes is in place, or tracing flows of materials to understand what end markets do and do not exist, so that we in turn can help provide the builder capital that is needed. A key finance challenge that I've started to pay attention to is how capital flows with the supply chain. I think there's a massive opportunity for us at Closed Loop Partners to ensure that critical organizations across the circular economy value chain have access to cash flow and can maintain liquidity thresholds even when a down cycle comes our way. But what is catalytic capital and why is it important? Well, not every project that has the potential to drive change will succeed, nor is it promised that the project will generate the financial returns that conventional investors are looking for. Catalytic capital is risk-tolerant, patient capital that seeks to support an organization or project through various stages of growth, ensuring that it is capitalized to a point where it can succeed and be financially sustainable. I would like to take it one step further and also offer that this capital is deployed with intention to create additionality, whether that be impact or financial. And where I see catalytic capital serving its greatest purpose is where we marry industry expertise with innovative financing solutions and models, and can start to transfer risks to accelerate more mainstream capital into the circular economy. To date, our firm has raised over $400 million that is being directed to scale circular economy innovations. And thus far, we have provided financing to 60 projects, nonprofits, companies, and municipality-backed programs through Closed Loop Partners' 8 investment funds. 3 of the projects and organizations that we've supported through the Closed Loop Infrastructure Fund are right here in Michigan: Emmett County Recycling, Marquette County Solid Waste Management Authority, and Recycle Ann Arbor. In each case, we provided capital on competitive and flexible terms to build or retrofit the necessary recycling infrastructure, ensuring that valuable commodity materials have a home or destination at the next stage of the value chain. The second partnership that I'm excited about is essentially brand new. So you're now part of the inner circle and one of the first groups to hear about this news. And the news is that Closely partners through our infrastructure group, which manages 4 investment funds totaling approximately $200 million, has signed a letter of support and commitment to invest and co-invest in NextCycle innovation track projects. What excites me the most is that our partnership is a building block for what I envision to be true for our entire group. As a steward of our catalytic capital investment strategy, I firmly believe that where we can be most effective is by ensuring that our capital is leveraged to complement other funds, whether that be government grants or other sources of private capital. And what I want to see going forward is that we are partnering even more closely with all actors across the ecosystem, especially governments like the state of Michigan, to ensure that we are backing the most promising innovations. I have been impressed by the diversity of projects that have applied for financial support through the NextCycle innovation tracks. Not only is each organization striving to build out a meaningful part of the path towards the circular economy, but the teams represent diverse communities that will ultimately benefit from these types of solutions. Through a number of our funds, we've financed similar solutions to date, backing companies that seek to improve the economics of recycling, either through the integration of AI and robotics, or those who are working to build out new models for supply chain procurement. Where I would like to see the closed loop infrastructure group play a role in supporting Michigan's transition towards a circular economy is by amplifying the stellar results that have been achieved to date by Michigan's Renew Fund and the NextCycle Michigan program. As many of you know, to reach Michigan's state goal of a 45% diversion rate, more than $1 billion of capital is needed to invest in recycling and organic solutions and infrastructure. Over 104 tracked projects at different stages have already contributed 38% towards the state's diversion goal. This has been made possible by the entrepreneurs and innovators who have worked tirelessly to build and create and who refuse to accept no for an answer, and by the state for their commitment and grant dollars that focuses on tackling challenges across the system, and by the 119 NextCycle Michigan partners, which continues to grow in numbers, who have committed over $325,000 in NextCycle awards and sponsorships, along with $97 million in direct project investments to planned projects or those that are still underway across the state. I commend the progress, but I think we can all agree that we have much more work to do. Our goal through the infrastructure group is to direct capital to projects that are beyond proof of concept and are in need of growth capital to scale replicable solutions. At the heart of what we do through my team is provide loans that are flexible in nature. Through each loan that we provide to a project or company which fits our investment mandate or criteria, we can provide capital of up to $5 million. Applications to request financing from one of our investment funds is straightforward, and the requisite form can be found on our website. Where we differentiate ourselves is through the unique way in which we interact with the rest of the ecosystem. As I alluded to earlier, we strive to be connectors. From where I sit in the firm, that means providing capital at a pivotal point in a project or organization's growth. And what does success look like? It's when said project or organization has the opportunity to access a larger quantum of capital from mainstream financial actors. A great example of this is one of our portfolio companies who we provided a loan to a few years after they commenced operations. They had tested their technology, run successful pilots, and were now ready to scale and expand their operations. We stepped in to fill a critical part of their capital stack. And just last week, they called me to share that they had raised a significant amount of subsequent new equity capital from a major financial institution, who arguably would not have been interested in their business a few years ago because it had not achieved great enough scale yet. This was not only a major milestone for the company, but evidence that the infrastructure group is doing what it was designed to do. I want to go back to a mention that I made earlier about diversity and community. Climate equity is an important topic and one that I'm thrilled that the NextCycle Michigan team asked me to address today. Two words immediately come to mind: access and inclusion. Through our work at Closed Loop Partners, we continue to identify paths and implement frameworks to ensure that the financing we extend supports climate equity. This is manifested through the adoption of environmental, social, and governance criteria, also referred to as ESG, that we have started using to identify potential risks associated with our investments. It is not a screening tool. Over time, my expectation is that we can leverage the data that we collect as baseline information to determine potential forms of interventions that we can help implement through our active engagement with our portfolio companies and find opportunities to build organizations that keep access and inclusion front of mind. According to the Recycling Partnership's 2021 Paying It Forward report, 4 in 10 single-family residents lack access to equitable recycling. This statistic is exacerbated if we turn our attention to multifamily property or rural communities that lack equitable access, which increases the disparity to 7 in 10. Now, if we translate this into the context of achieving Michigan's 45% diversion rate goal, there are a number of opportunities that I would like to highlight. We should be focusing on increasing collections that target food waste, glass, plastics, and corrugated cardboard, improving and expanding multifamily and rural residential curbside collection, building out commercial and institutional collection, and drop-off centers. The addition of just 17 drop-off centers strategically located in densely populated areas has the potential to improve access for approximately half of Michigan. If we were to increase this 5-fold, this would increase access to 98%. This in turn will require investment in increasing processing capacity. And there is a need to retrofit or build 12 to 59 MRFs if the state is to achieve its diversion rate goal. Over the last 8 years, the Closed Loop Infrastructure Group has sought out opportunities to work alongside municipalities and solid waste management authorities to provide capital that either helps to launch new recycling programs or seeks to expand the reach of existing programs. We have paid particular attention to jurisdictions that have strong political will to support recycling, but for one reason or another may not have the financial capacity to direct funding towards recycling services and other related activities. Approximately 40% of the capital that has been deployed by our team has been in support of municipalities seeking to improve recycling access and inclusion and seeks to center climate equity. What I would like to see going forward, though, is that our reach continues to expand across the country and continues to complement funds appropriated by each respective state. It is through partnerships with like-minded actors that we have the greatest chance to drive change. Although we will not have time for Q&A, I would welcome the opportunity to connect with each of you individually throughout this event and thereafter. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you so much. I really like the connections you made between some of the infrastructure build out that's happening right now and the need. Just listening to those numbers, connecting with the data that we've been gathering through NextCycle to help grow MRFs like in Ann Arbor or in Emmett County or what Sarna was talking about earlier in Northwest Michigan on organics. The data really does matter, so we can tell that complete story. And I think you shared that very clearly.